Please.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I welcome the debate today and I move the amendment in my name. Scottish Labour has campaigned for improvements to our chronically underfunded care services for a very long time. We believe that social care support in Scotland should always be free at the point of use, based on needs and not income, and should be rooted in a system that respects the dignity of people, service users and staff. Although it breaks my heart that it's taken the effects of a global pandemic to shine a spotlight on the flaws in the current market-based system, I do welcome that we are finally seeing attention, social care getting the attention it deserves. And I'd like to put on record Scottish Labour's thanks to those who have worked on the independent review of adult social care and contributed to its recommendations. There is much to be welcomed, and I am grateful to Derek Feely for his willingness to engage with MSPs, to keep us updated, and of course to engage widely with trade unions and service users. Social care should be based on upholding human rights. Commissioning of services should be for the public good, and the workforce should always be properly valued. Reform of social care and the creation of a national care service has been Scottish Labour policy for a very long time. Sadly, this was rejected by Nicola Sturgeon when she was the Health Secretary. And my colleague Richard Leonard has used his time in Parliament to bring social care out of the shadows. During Richard's time, he provided leadership elevating social care and the need for a national care service before and during the pandemic. And it has come back to the top of the political agenda. Scottish Labour's It's Time to Care About Care campaign last year reignited the debate on a national care service, and I'm pleased that Scottish ministers have finally paid heed to what has to be done. And social care has borne the brunt of the pandemic, from what's happened in our care homes to what's happened in people's own homes. And all too often it's been left to staff to raise the alarm or for heartbroken families to speak out. We know that the Scottish Government's own pandemic preparedness report, Silver Swan, identified social care as a weak link. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had repeated warnings from trade unions and frontline workers, including Unison, Unite and GMB, and I refer to my register of interests. But they were all speaking out about the inadequacy of PPE. And those calls went unheeded for too long. In fact, in April last year, there was still Scottish Government guidance in circulation from the Chief Nursing Officer suggesting that home carers didn't need any PPE at all beyond the basic apron and gloves that they always use. So whilst we welcome the recommendations in the report, we also want to hear when the country is going to get a public inquiry into the pandemic response, and in particular into what's happened in social care. There was comments in the Chamber earlier today about the exclusion of essential caregivers. I want to pay tribute to my colleague Neil Findlay, who I'm sad is leaving the Parliament at the end of this term. But Neil Findlay has worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic to make the case that family caregivers are an essential part of the care team. They're not an extra. They're not just a visitor. They should also have access to PPE, to testing, to be part of the safe provision of care in our care homes. So I do hope we get to a place where we can, as a Parliament, unite and support Anne's Law, which would ensure that this can never happen again, that people spend a year in isolation without access to their loved ones. Now, the opportunity posed by the creation of a national care service offers the chance to create jobs and improve pay for social care workers. The Scottish Labour amendment reflects our support for £15 per hour for social care workers. This workforce is made up primarily of women. It's not unskilled, and the workforce deserves to be properly recognised for its labour. Fair Work has far from met its potential. Fair Work in Social Care has been a positive coalition, well navigated by Andy Kerr, but ambitions have been too low. And until we, the politicians, take action, it's all just talk. Fair Work has to be a floor, not a ceiling. On a positive note, There are recommendations that we welcome, and if the government motion is turned into action, this could be a huge step forward for the workforce, for women in Scotland. We know that 83% of carers are women, so seeing a dramatic wage rise for these workers will not only end the recruitment and retention crisis, but the economic multipliers in wider society will be huge. And unpaid carers should also get equal payment and formal recognition for their labour. So a properly funded care sector, which creates decent, well-paid jobs, will help us meet our ambitions about the caring economy. Deputy Presiding Officer, as it stands, too much money has leaked out of care to offshore tax havens. Care should always be about people, not about profits. The report criticises the market-based system, but then largely recommends leaving the market-based system in place with a bit more regulation. That's not Scottish Labour's vision for a national care service. The amendment in my name today is clear that a national care service has to be about delivering parity, national standards which are delivered locally, and we cannot have a system of centralisation which doesn't work for care users or staff. So in conclusion, Presiding Officer, this report only holds At the moment, this report only holds promise and it requires further action. Nonetheless, it is a positive start and it is evidence about what this Parliament can achieve when there is the will to do so. I look forward to taking this forward in not just the years to come, but there's immediate action that must be taken now, including through the budget, getting that pay rise to workers. But if we can work together to get bold, radical change, we can have a national care service that is not just a title, not just words on a page, that bring that to life, that delivers better outcomes for service users and for the workforce.
Thank you very much.